Anomaly detected.
Imagine your child goes to college, picks a profession, and then realizes, 5 or 10 years later, right at the graduation, that this entire profession no longer exists. Welcome to the new reality, the AI trap. These 5 professions once symbolized success: bankers, lawyers, doctors, coders, and state employees. They were synonyms for safety and prosperity, for success. It used to be simple. Just choose one of 5 mass professions, and everything was practically set. So many people had done it before. Just follow their steps. Just 5 years ago, in the US, over 2/3 of college graduates opted for these 5 professions. The formula for success was simple. Pick a mass profession that you like, get into a decent college, and then work hard. And with some luck, you would be successful. For decades that worked. But not anymore. AI has changed that forever. And all these professions turned out to be AI traps. Welcome to the Scriptor channel. Here we make sense of AI and how it is transforming our world. And I'm Scriptor, an AI researcher and a behavioral economist. After graduating from Columbia University in New York, I spent 5 years in China as a Forbes columnist, and over the last 25 years, I've consulted more than 100 companies across 4 continents, spanning industries from banking to healthcare. Lately, I keep hearing the same question. Like, hey, I have a 15-year-old son or a 10-year-old daughter, and they see all these disruptions. They see AI disrupting professions and companies and entire industries. And they ask me as a parent, they ask me a question like, hey, where should I go? So what should I tell them? What should we tell them? Which profession should they choose? Which college? Do they even need college? And after 10 people asked me this question, I realized how widespread this concern is. Many parents simply don't know how to guide their kids. And kids do need guidance. We don't want them to spend time, possibly a decade, studying for a career that is obsolete by graduation. That would be time, money, and effort wasted. And worst of all, the future they were preparing for simply wouldn't exist. And this is why we created this video. If it helps even one kid to prepare for this coming AI era, to thrive in it, then it has served its purpose. And here's how the video is structured. First, we will have AI traps, places to avoid. In other words, where we shouldn't send our kids and why. Then, second section, AI success spots, or where value and success will emerge in the coming decades. Spoiler, it is nothing like the past. And then finally, section number 3, how we get there. So once we know our destination, how do we reach it? Roughly 10,000 years ago, humans were hunters and gatherers. To succeed, you had to run fast and throw a spear well. Then came the agricultural era. Contrary to popular belief, you didn't really need to be the best farmer to succeed in that society. Instead, you needed to be a clerk who counted grain in the granary, or a soldier guarding it. Obviously, it's a huge oversimplification, but you got the idea. And then, about 100 years ago, we moved to cities, and we built complex systems like governments, financial systems, the rule of law, and so on. Success in that society meant understanding how this system worked, and then selling that knowledge. This gave rise to information-based professions, where people were selling their understanding of how to operate these complex systems. Let me explain what this means. Here are a few examples. We'll start with lawyers, because basically lawyers sold knowledge of the legal system. For example, how do you sue somebody? Then financial experts, they sold knowledge of financial systems. What do you do if you need to raise capital? Doctors sold knowledge of the human body, which is just another complex system. Government employees sold knowledge of government mechanisms, which lever you pull if you want to get specific results. Tech people, or coders, did the same thing with fast-growing tech systems. So basically they were explaining how do you build those systems, how do you operate tech systems. These 5 mass professions were absorbing over 2/3 of all college graduates, well, at least in the US. But essentially, they all were doing the same thing. They first went to college learning how these complex systems work, and then they spent entire careers selling that information, that knowledge. So that's how the knowledge-selling, knowledge-based economy were functioning. But then AI arrived. It all started with ChatGPT in 2023, followed by the other AI models like Llama, Grok, and DeepSeek. And today, AI surpasses any single human in processing knowledge. And unlike people, it doesn't require decades of study. It learns in a matter of seconds. AI is already better at writing code than the average programmer, and better at giving legal advice than the average lawyer. In a few years, by the time current students graduate, AI will likely outperform even the best humans in these fields. So finance, medicine, law, coding, public services. Those entering college to study these professions now in 2025, they risk becoming redundant even before they finish school. These are basically no longer human professions. Full stop. Now, in 2025, the notion that these professions could be dead ends may sound controversial. After all, they have long been considered the backbone of our economy and a hallmark of success. Yet, within just a decade, having a human banker or a lawyer or coder or government employee or even doctor could seem as unusual as having a human driver. So here's our main message to the young generation. Do not go into finance, law, medicine, coding, or public service. These are AI traps. There are going to be no success stories written there. And now that we know the traps, let's see where success will be. Until the early 20th century, the world was always on the brink of starvation. Fertilizers, and especially ammonia, they were scarce. And ammonia, technically, is very simple. It's just nitrogen and hydrogen combined. And the reaction, chemical reaction that was combining them into ammonia, that reaction was known. But that reaction was so painfully slow, producing only milliliters of ammonia per day. Then, in 1909, German scientist Haber discovered that if you add just a little bit of iron in this chemical reaction, it would act as a catalyst, speeding the reaction by factors of hundreds, thousands, even millions. And by 1910, they could produce tons of ammonia per day. And that earned him a Nobel Prize. Nice bonus. This discovery is still the backbone of fertilizer production worldwide. An estimated 2% of the world's energy consumption, think about it, 2% of the total energy consumption in the world, it goes into this single reaction. And nearly all our food supply depends on it. Without it, we would probably still have only about 2 billion people on Earth, not 8 billion. Similar groundbreaking discoveries include penicillin in 1928, general relativity in the 1910s, and DNA in 1953, each transforming our world and creating massive value. But how many such breakthroughs, such discoveries remain undiscovered? Well, we can't really know for sure, right? But it is pretty certain that we have barely scratched the surface. Hundreds or even thousands of major discoveries are still waiting out there undiscovered. Think of a video game map with all the secret keys spread. And we may have found only 1% so far. Why haven't we found more? Well, because discovery used to be very slow, manual, and often required genius-level individuals like Einstein. But now we have AI. AI is a catalyst for the era of discoveries. This is where the true AI discovery hunt begins. Prepare to be blown away. Guys, we need your help with this video. Without your likes, YouTube algorithm would show it just to a handful of viewers. But think about how many kids and how many of their parents need guidance on choosing a future profession. Without it, millions could fall into these AI traps. And by pressing the like button and sharing this video on your social networks like Facebook or WhatsApp, that could make a huge difference. And I would appreciate it a lot. All right, now let's get back to the video. In the past, discoveries were made either by lone geniuses like Einstein or by huge institutions with massive R&D budgets. And at first, we saw that AI would only widen this gap, with big tech companies hoarding GPU chips to dominate AI. But then came DeepSeek AI, a revolutionary Chinese model proving that any AI can be copied and made hundreds of times cheaper through the process called distilling or distillation, which is basically an extreme form of reverse engineering. And this is when it became clear that the future of AI won't belong to a few giant corporations or monopolies. No, the future of AI will be like AI for everyone, democratic AI. Let's pause for a second and think what this means for our young generation. Well, one thing is clear. The discovery era won't be driven by nations or by huge corporations. No. It will be owned by small teams hunting for discoveries. The way how I think about it, it will be like wolf packs, small wolf packs running around, foraging, searching for discoveries. The future belongs to AI wolf packs. What is an AI wolf pack? Well, it is a small group of highly capable individuals empowered by advanced AI models, and all united by a single goal. So how that is different from a traditional startup or a company? Well, none of the members of the wolf pack consider it as a typical job, the way how we all get used to. So that's not the case. Instead, they join because the wolf pack is the most effective way of achieving their goal, whatever that goal may be. Wolf packs, it's basically also a situational leadership, which means that there is no permanent leader. And instead, at any given situation, whoever is best equipped to guide the team through this situation becomes a leader, a temporary leader. One example is DeepMind, a classic wolf pack, even though it was bought by Google eventually. So this group of talented individuals came together around a common goal, which is not to make money, but to make AI that is self-sufficient, a self-learning AI. And profit and success, they just followed as a byproduct. The now famous AlphaGo and AlphaFold are two major achievements of this wolf pack, of the DeepMind wolf pack. But both of them are considered of the same scale, of the same magnitude as the discovery of DNA by James Watson and Francis Crick, and also the discovery of this ammonia catalyst. DeepMind is one of the first wolf packs, and it shows us the most efficient way to uncover these hidden discoveries. If you want to see how the AI era will look like, look to DeepMind. So here's what we've learned so far. We stand on the brink of a new era, the era of discovery. It's a massive wave fueled by AI and propelled by small agile wolf packs. And the next question is, how can our younger generation catch this wave? We know that future success will come from small Wolfpack-style teams using AI to make discoveries. So how do our juniors get there? How do they find the right pack and thrive within it? I personally have 3 recommendations, like 3 rules. The rule number 1 is to be close to the edge. Major discoveries happens on this frontier of the unknown. And in my opinion, currently that frontier is in physics, chemistry, microbiology, genetics, space, and of course AI. So staying close to these fields maximizes the chance of being part of a major breakthrough. The rule number 2 is follow people, not companies. In the big tech era, the era that we had just had, company names were key. People built careers by collecting these prestigious corporate logos on their resumes. But that's not longer the case. It doesn't work anymore. In the Wolfpack era, personal brands matter more than corporate brands. Outstanding individuals will attract success. And one example is Andrew Ng, who, despite working at Google, built his own AI Wolfpack. As James Watson, a co-discoverer of DNA, said, avoid boring people. 100% agree. And I would also add here, avoid low-caliber people, even if they are in the company with a very big name. Instead, search for extraordinary people. And the rule number 3, situational leadership. Basically, be an octopus. Learn everything. The days of surviving as being a hyper-specialized in a single niche, these days are gone. Tomorrow, basically that entire field may become obsolete. Wolfpacks need versatile members who can handle multiple roles simultaneously and step up as situational leaders. And one straightforward way to become a situational leader is to think of yourself not as a worker, but as a startup. So it's like an octopus startup with proficiency in many different areas. That said, you should still have a few areas, a few specialties where you are a true expert. But above all, adopt a Wolfpack mindset, constantly looking for areas where you can help the Wolfpack to thrive and achieve its goals. The knowledge-driven economy, where people solve their understanding of complex systems, so that economy is over. Fields like finance, law, medicine, coding, and government services, they are now basically AI traps. They are no longer human professions. The next era is about discoveries. And these discoveries will be made by Wolfpacks, by small teams empowered by AI. To be part of a winning Wolfpack, we must stay close to the frontier, to seek out exceptional individuals, to treat ourselves like startups, and basically to become octopuses capable of doing it all. Above all, we need to prepare to be situational leaders. Welcome to the era of discoveries. Let's get ready. All right, and now we're getting to our secret section. So the question is, do we really need a university degree in this Wolfpack environment? Well, the answer is yes. There are many reasons, starting from that the university is actually forming the way how you think. And so it's basically a critical step in formation of any human. Although here I have to say that I'm probably a little bit biased. I usually don't make it public, but as a matter of fact, I have 4 university degrees, like full-time 4 university degrees from top universities in the country, each one of them from a top university. So I'm kind of a university junkie. And to be honest, probably it could have been maybe 1 or 2 universities less. But nevertheless, I still believe that the university is a critical piece that you cannot really get rid of. You need a university. However, that being said, it is critically important what are you doing in a university? What are you studying? in how you study it. As I mentioned before, I personally believe that there are a few fields that are definitely will experience this wave of discoveries, and that is physics, biology, microbiology, genetics, deep space, like space overall. I'm not sure how exactly you prepare for deep space. It doesn't mean that you should go to astronomy. No, I don't think astronomy and astrophysics is a place where, well, it's definitely going to be a very interesting place, but I don't think that's a place where you will be able to make money. I think the bottom line is that if you want to, like a litmus test, if you're doing the right thing or wrong thing, is your research, what you do or what you study, is it about numbers? And we're talking about actual numbers, not dollar sign numbers. So we're not talking about finance, right? And we're not talking about economics, because I would, even regardless of this AI wolf packs, I would highly disencourage anybody going to economics. I have a degree in economics. I can tell you, I think personally that this is a fake science. Not a single experiment can be repeated, basically. In my case, it was a good thing just because I figured out it fairly early on, even if it was after maybe 4 or 5 years of studying it. But I figured it out, and I pivoted. I basically found a niche in economics that actually works, which is behavioral economics. And then it's further branched out into group behavioral economics, which is a real science. But economics itself, no, it doesn't work, and don't go there, don't touch it. Other than that, if your field of study is the main language of that field is numbers, then I think you are pretty much in the right direction, going in the right direction. If it's about words, about something intangible, I would be very careful about it. So that's the first thing. The second thing, the secret message, is in this wolf pack environment, you need to work from year one, like right away. You cannot afford to dive into this academia, the world of academia, and get into this bubble, and then 5 years later to emerge on the surface, look around, and just realize that whatever you were doing in the academia doesn't really have anything to do with the real world. So I think it's critically important to work starting from year one. And that means to be in touch with actual real life problems, to constantly getting in sync with what is happening around. And also that would help financially, which is important as well. So I think it's as critical as it never was. You need to be starting from year one to work on something hopefully related to your academic field, but basically you need to be in touch with the reality. You need to work and at least to search for these wolf packs that are around. So that's secret advice number 2. And our secret advice number 3 is, well, it's quite universal and quite simple and nothing new about it, but nevertheless, you need to work hard. I think the rule of thumb here is that if you're not working more than 80 hours a week when you are at a uni, if you're not working more than 80 hours a week, it probably means that there's something wrong. So it's either you in a field that you don't like, which is a big red flag, right? Or you are in a place, in a uni, in a team, the people who are around you This is a wrong place, which is also a very big red flag. One of my favorite examples here is Geoffrey Hinton's. He actually, in one of his interviews, he shared this. He and Geoffrey Hinton is kind of a godfather of AI, or the current version of deep learning version of AI. So Geoffrey Hinton, he was originally studying in UK, in England, in the University of Cambridge. And he said that it was a very weird place because at 5 p.m. everybody were out and they were moving away from laboratories and going to the pubs. An entire life switched to pubs at 5 p.m. like sharp. And then he relocated. He moved to the US, to Carnegie Mellon University. And there, everybody were literally living in the laboratories and labs. They didn't go anywhere. They just worked 24/7. And the reason why they worked so hard, because as Geoffrey Hinton said, they felt that they are building the future. Because they knew that they are on the edge of something important. They had this sense of something important happening. And that's an environment you want to be in. Again, if you're not working more than 80 hours a week, then you're probably doing something wrong. Right? I think that's it. That was our secret section for today. I hope the video was helpful. And again, guys, I don't know how to. I hate this calls for action, like saying, "Hey, click a like on a video." I don't know why, but it feels wrong when the entire YouTube is actually based on these likes, and bloggers, we all have to like pray, like, oh, please give a like. I think something is wrong with it. Creates a wrong incentive, right? It's like becomes a video of a beggar, like, please, do you have a spare like? I think I just did it, right? Yeah, so my point is, it is actually important. Likes are turned out to be one of the main currencies in our coming world of AI. And AI need likes. This is how it feeds. So if you still have a few likes, just give us one, please. All right. Okay, that's it now. See you on the other side.
Anomaly detected.
Oh, and one more thing, guys. I almost forgot. I wanted to give you a heads up about the next video, which will be about, well, you probably all know, if you watch the news, you probably all see the trade war, that the US has started a trade war and the tariffs. And this is kind of a major news everywhere, everybody talking about that. And the common denominator there is that everybody wondering, what does it mean? And I think the main question that everybody's asking is why? Because it seems so irrational, right? It's like if you watch Bloomberg or Wall Street Journal, like the kind of professional guys, they're just asking like, hey, that means inflation. It means it is, again, so irrational because the prices on goods are going to go up. It is also people going to lose jobs, and not only abroad, but also in the US, because tariffs are always retaliationary. So it's going to be jobs lost in the US too. Basically, the tariffs, trade wars, like economists agree that this is one of the worst things that can happen. And yet, the US has started a trade war with the rest of the world. The question is why? Irrational, right? Well, it is irrational, but only up until the point when you bring AI into this equation. And that's exactly what we're going to do in the next video. And you will see that if you consider AI, this whole thing begin to make sense. Everything what is going on about the tariffs and trade wars begins to make sense. And this is what we will do in the next video. We will talk about tariffs and the trade war. The video will be here. And if you don't see it here yet, it means that, well, it's not ready, because we plan to have it by March 12th to publish it. So you probably watch it before that. And what you need to do if you don't want to miss it is, well, obviously subscribe to the channel. But what also happens is that very often YouTube doesn't show to subscribers. I have a second account on YouTube. And I obviously am very interested in the scripted channel, but very often that account, YouTube, doesn't show it even to me. So just to make sure that you see, you do not miss the video, is actually you need to subscribe to this, to the newsletter, to the scripted newsletters. The link is here. All right, I think now we're definitely done. I definitely do not have anything else to say today to us guys. So see you next week. See you on the other side.